The Orlando Magic have been one of my favorite teams to watch this season, and a guy that's just decided everyone in the league is on notice with his defense is Jalen Suggs. Thanks for doing this, man. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm great. How are you?
So I want to start with kind of just this season. We'll get into your story and some of the other stuff. But look, I know it's been a really good start, kind of a tougher stretch, not having Franz. Now he's back in the mix. What has this been like as a young group kind of starts having expectations for themselves, hoping to go out and win all these games? What's the season been like so far?
It's been cool. We've kind of gone through different stages of learning how to win, being the team that now we have the target on our back, during that winning streak, when we're going through that stretch. And then now continuing to find ways to win, within the ebbs and flow of a season, with injuries, with fatigue, mentally, physically, bumps, bruises, trying to find ways with different lineups and different guys to continue to hold ourselves to that standard that we were playing at early. So I think all in all, through the wins, losses, we've learned a lot throughout the year and, to benefit us, for when we're trying to play, in April and March and May.
Your defense is like, man, and, I know not everybody's watching Magic games all the time, but I remember, a few games in and Cerruti, our producer here, is a huge Orlando fan. And we're like, have you watched this guy? Like, what is going on with you right now? Like, where is your motivation? Where is this energy coming from? Where did the decision happen? We were like, okay, this is a huge priority for me this year.
I think kind of putting my ego to the side and looking at it from a perspective of what does this team need from me? And we had a really good meeting during training camp, kind of in the preseason, just kind of breaking down, what the coaches expect, what they're looking for, what all the boys are looking for, from each individual. And, for me, it was energy, defense, and being steady. I really just tried to lock in and focus on those things. And, they love it. They love when I'm climbing up into guys and diving on the floor and getting the crowd hype. They come back to the huddle and during timeouts and, they give me praise for that. You know what I'm saying? And, and they feed off of that. So, once I kind of realized that, I told myself this summer I'm going to lock into, and I'm still trying to find ways to continue to do that. And, some games it's aggressive. Some games, it's more cerebral and, and defending things, preventing shots, instead of, super aggressive on ball defense. But I mean, they loved it and they embraced me doing it. And, it's been something that I've just tried to harp on and stick to.
You said something about ego there, though. And, look, any kid coming in with the profile that you had, big time recruit, run at Gonzaga, you go 5th overall, and you're like, all right, well, I expect to be an all-star and I'm going to get my 20 a game and everything. And like, look, it doesn't really go that way for as many people. Was that a conversation you had to have with people close to you? Was it a conversation you had with yourself? Like, how did you, I'm not saying like you've transformed as a player because the shooting has obviously improved quite a bit here too, but maybe the acceptance of that. What is that conversation and realization like?
Yeah, it was something more I did with myself, and had some hard conversations with myself this summer. I had to look myself in the mirror and, kind of reassess what I was doing, the work that I was putting in, who I wanted to be on the floor and off the floor. And, and in that, we have great players in P and Franz and Kel who can handle the ball and is a great decision maker, great in pick and roll, and it didn't call for me to have the ball all the time or to be in every pick and roll, because we have these great players around, and I think it's a blessing in disguise because it's allowed me to come out, simplify my game, take the open shots, knock them down, play defense, use all my energy on that end. And I can continue to work on that other aspect, my pick and roll reads, my one-on-one game, get into my spots and shoot my shots, things like that, without the pressure of having to do it night in and night out, which is hard in the league and definitely was tough for me coming in. So, it was more of me and myself, tough conversations, kind of putting that all out there, and then kind of accepting the role that I was put in and what they need from me to succeed as a team. Because at the end of the day, I just want to win. I kind of won at every level I've been at. And this is the only one I haven't achieved it yet. So I'm a bit of extra motivation came from that as well.
I looked up the numbers from your rookie year because I was looking up some Scoot Henderson stuff, right? Because he's struggling. Yeah. And they have a number where it's the lowest offensive rating of any regular player in the league. Did you know that you were last in the NBA your rookie year?
There. Oh, I knew I was down there from my shooting, from everything I was doing on that end. I knew it was not very good. And I've seen Scoot, and he's going to be just fine. He's athletic. He can make tons of plays, man. And once the game slows down for him, man, he's going to be really good. But yeah, I definitely noticed that in my rookie year, is something that I was aware of.
It made me feel better about Scoot because I liked him so much coming into the draft. And I was like, wait, he's last. I go, oh, wait, Jalen Suggs was last. So I was like, Scoot will be fine. What was so hard? What was the hardest part about that first year for you?
Um, on top of trying to slow the game down and process that at a high level, and being a point guard and someone who has the ball the majority of the possessions while you're in the game, and leading a group of grown men is a difficult task. On top of trying to figure out life and your new life and who you are as a person, and now as the breadwinner in the family and taking care of all your people, it can just kind of pile up, and it gets pretty heavy. And that's something that I try to share and be really open about, is that it is hard. It's not supposed to come in and be easy. When you go from college or G League to the highest level of basketball in the world, and it's going to be all flowers and roses, and you're going to, be a walk through the park. It's going to be an adjustment. So I think kind of embracing that is something that I hadn't really done until this summer, is embracing the toughness of it, embracing the difficult. And I think kind of when we started to focus on that in the workouts and in training and getting ready for the season, it made all of the games a lot easier. I'm dying in here, ready to throwing up almost every workout, almost to the point of tears, like just really pushing myself to that level. To now when I'm in those games, I can defend at the highest level, use all my energy there, and come back down on the offensive end and be cerebral and be solid, or continuing to work on it. So, but it's tough. That adjustment and that leap is a difficult one to make for sure.
What was it like, because I think the Scotty Barnes storyline also hurt you too, because at one point you're wondering, oh, wait, did they make the mistake? And Suggs falls to Orlando, and then Scotty has this great year. What was it like being so young, and now all of a sudden, like, look, you've been making a name for yourself in basketball, but now you're at the NBA level, and you're dealing with criticism from randoms and unknown people. What was that like, which was probably kind of tough to deal with in a tough rookie year?
Yeah, it was a bit difficult. I think I found myself trying to compare my journey and my role to others, to other rookies, to other people in the league, instead of just really living out the path and the life that God has planned for me. I'm trying to live out and reach the expectations and the levels of this person, that person, this random, this Twitter user, to other people who've gone in the drafts, from Scotty to Franz, just natural human nature things, kind of comparing yourself to the next man and your peers. And I think that did hinder me. It was tough dealing with that and seeing the rest of my peers kind of thrive and play well. And, those other high draft picks, kind of finding their way. And I was struggling, but looking back on it, I wouldn't change it. I kind of tell everybody, family, friends, kind of all who ask, I would never change anything about that first year or second year. Rookie of the year, wouldn't trade it at all, because I learned a lot as a person, helped me grow up, and was huge for my transition from a young man, into a man. So, I learned a lot of life lessons on the court, off the court. But yeah, it was tough seeing all them thrive, and I was so happy for them, but I wanted to get to that level. I wasn't ready for it yet mentally.
Your defense is incredible. And, defense, what always frustrates me about bad defensive players is like, look, if you just cared, you can be average. Mm-hmm. And there's few players that seem to care about it possession to possession as much as you do right now. Have you noticed how frustrated guys get with you?
A little bit. I think my favorite thing is like when you're guarding a guy and they just kind of get off of it, run down the floor, and then you kind of get them to stand in the corner a couple possessions. You kind of know you have them because they're taking a breather. They're trying to get a reset, and it also gives me one. So that now when they go get the ball again, I'm fresh. I've had a couple possessions off, or not off, but, just different from on the ball, being in gaps and kind of showing my body. So now when I'm back, I can crawl into the ball and I can be up in you. And it's really just, I think for me, it's about making the offensive player uncomfortable, kind of putting you in positions. I watch film, but I watch a lot of highlight tapes. I think is different from others. I watch like a whole full season highlights. I got a good YouTube channel I'll be watching. It's a dude be breaking down stuff. So I watch like a player's whole December scoring highlights. And you just get to see all their go-to moves, all the spots they like to get shots in, and kind of deterring them and steering them away from those spots, those positions. Kind of putting them in uncomfortable and unfamiliar territory. And then they're in your world a little bit, and you can start to dictate where they're going, the flow that they're getting in offensively. And so I think that's part of it. But also, just like you said, the pride of it, just wanting to defend, having that, putting your ego to the side and let me defend on this possession. I'll exert some energy. Maybe I'll go stand corner down here and be ready for a catch and shoot instead of, being in an action. But knowing I got to stop for the team on this end, something I take a lot of pride in.
I'm trying to remember the game. I should have gone back and looked at the highlights for it because I felt like it was either November or the first half of December. Maybe it was that stretch at the end of November where you guys were home and you were losing your mind. Mm-hmm. Like you were so into it. It was almost like wrestling stuff. And it felt like after that game, do you remember which game we're talking about? Like it was getting really chippy and I think there was a technical and then you swiped at somebody's head and like a defensive rebound and they got pissed at you. And then you just grabbed the ball. What was it?
I don't know. We had a couple on that stretch. The Toronto game was really physical like that. The Denver one was really good. The Boston
I think it was the Denver game at home.
Yeah.
I think it was the Denver game at home. And then you were feeling yourself a little bit. Like the thing is the fan base then in turn loves you. Like I always think every NBA team needs a guy that's a little on the edge, and it feels like that's who you've become for them. Yeah. I don't think you would have done that when you're like, what is it like being like, I'm comfortable enough now. And I feel like everybody, the teammates, we all like each other enough that I can start acting up a little bit more in the spirit of just being competitive. Because I don't think you're doing it necessarily just for attention.
No, not at all. I think that's all it is. And it's just kind of getting back to me. I think you ask anyone who's known me, grown up with me, that's how I always used to play. I was always engaged with the fans. I was always high energy. I was always talking to this person, that person, and it may seem like kind of wild, maybe a little bit, but it kind of helps me lock in, honestly, and be fully present in that moment. And then once COVID hit in college, we didn't have fans. It was kind of different. And then I think, it took me getting back to finding myself and who I was as a person, to kind of fully embrace that. And once I fully, accepted that, that's who I am. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm competitive, and I'm passionate, and I want to win, not only for the boys and the coaching staff, but for the city, because they've stuck by me and showed me love, from the moment I've gotten here. We were highs and lows. They've been with me. So seeing that they embrace me when I do that and go pump up the crowd and do something crazy, dive on the floor and go shake hands or sit down with them, and they really embrace that, that brings me a sense of joy, and almost a sense of responsibility, that this is how they're looking at me now. And, I don't want people to come into, to the Kia Center watching the game, looking for that, expecting, me to bring that energy, and it's not there, and then I give kind of a false image, you know what I'm saying? They're embracing me, they're loving it, they're telling me that they appreciate it. So that's something I want to continue to do for them, night in and night out when we play here.
I've watched this game a long time. I don't know if you've been around long enough because this might be the only thing you know, but what is going on with the offensive players being allowed to initiate literally anything they want physically, and then you guys can't even get your hips side to side with them, and then they're being rewarded? There's free throw people that have studied it and saying it's not different. I think it's very different. I think that's why you saw Mike Brown lose his mind. I think, Kerr pointing out Jokic wasn't exactly the best example, but I think that was built up. I don't know what you're supposed to do. If it's in transition, I think what you're now supposed to do is run into the tunnel, and then maybe he'll miss it. You're shaking your head right now. It seems like I have a sympathizer on this one. Oh, no, what is going on?
Absolutely, man. And I can go down the rabbit hole with this one. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of taking defense out of the game, and you see it in our game. You see it in the NFL, just the way they're taking the physicality out. But you can't trail a guy because now he's jumping back on the screen and it's a foul. You can't be on his hip because he's coming to grab your arm, rake it up, foul. You're going to the line. So you almost have to guard we're in some of these meetings, and getting ready for games, going over and scout. And, coach are telling us, you just almost got to put your hands behind your back. Even when you put them out and high, guys are finding ways. You're getting so good at it to go find your arm, to go get it, and you're in legal guarding. All you're doing is kind of sliding your feet, trying to beat them to the spot, and they're coming up and finding contact in different ways. So, part of it, I think, is, guys are getting really good at it. And I think that's why you're starting to see it look a bit crazy at times, because they're so proficient and so efficient in finding your arms and finding the body contact as they're going to shots. But also, it's like, I ask the refs almost every game. You tell me how to guard it then, without making it impossible.
What do they say?
And
What do
just
they
backing
say
up.
when it's obviously like the offensive player tricked them to get the call?
It's,
What do the refs say to you?
it's hard, man, because there's nothing you can do about it. And then they get to the spot and then you move and now it's a warm up shot. Guys are getting to the free throw line and you have to back up because you don't want to get the body contact. And guys like Luka, guys like Shea, they're not going to miss a wide open Embiid. They're not missing wide open 15-footers. So just trying to find ways to keep making them uncomfortable. It's part of the reason why I want to play in playoff basketball, just because I've heard from so many vets, so many old guys that it's different. It's more physical. They let you get away with a bit of that when you get there. So, kind of want to see what that's like, but you just gotta keep finding ways. It's tough.
When the team, a year after you had been drafted, had the decision of Paolo and your high school teammate Chet with the number one pick, who did you want them to take?
To be honest, it would have been dope to team up with Chet, and we were talking about it in the pre-draft leading up to it. But I was in the dark. I told him I'll tell you whatever you want to know about Chet, but I don't want to hear about the situation. I just want to watch the draft like a fan and kind of see who we get. And it was dope. I was upstairs in one of the little rooms watching the draft and, seeing P come. It was super dope. He's cool. I've known P also since I've been in high school. I'm kind of seeing him hoop and grow. So, that's great. We have a good relationship, but yeah, me and Chet talked about that a bit in pre-draft about teaming up again and kind of being together.
All right, but you're on the record here. You weren't pushing him unfairly.
No. I was in no meetings. I was by no means telling him go get this guy. I just want the best guy for the team still.
Okay. Well, I think it's working out with Paolo. Okay. I was a fan before the draft, and I would say, look, I know you're not winning all of these games. The Sacramento game's probably one of my favorite Paolo games ever because he had to find a way with the injuries and the lack of bodies you had at the end of that game. The Denver game is unbelievable. I wish he had gotten the tip against Miami because it felt like there was this 2-week stretch. I don't want to hear about the efficiency. I don't want to hear just from a basketball standpoint. I felt like those few weeks of him having to try to figure out a way to do so much of this on his own without Franz, that's the birth of if he becomes a legit top 10 guy in the league, and that's still saying a lot. But the origin part of that is that road trip out there. It's the Denver win. It's him battling against Sacramento. What is it like for you to see somebody that it's not just told in the number stories? It's just told in the way he's approaching the game and how unstoppable he can be certain nights. As you've watched him now for a couple of years.
It's so dope. It's so dope. And getting to see what he does kind of on these practice days, off days, the work that he puts in is dope. And then we get in the games and there's times I'll just be watching as a fan and I'll go tell them my bad. I kind of missed the cut here. I missed you looking at me. It's easy to get caught. He's a great player. He gets to his spots. Some of the things he does, you just kind of got to look at other guys and shake your head. That's just P. So kind of being in the presence of that is really dope. But he's really cerebral, so cerebral in how he thinks the game and our level of communication, from this year to last year, has grown massively, not only in, kind of just all the different games, different situations that we've been put in. But him going to USA, I think was big time, not only for him, and his growth, but he's brought that knowledge and kind of that experience back here, and it's tough because we're a young team. We have Grandpa, who is Joe, who's older. We have G, who's been in playoff series and seen things, but other than that, we're a pretty young roster. So, him going to get USA experience was dope. And I've asked about that, wanted to learn, about what he kind of gained from all that, and he's bringing that to us. So his growth has been crazy. But seeing some of the things he does in person, oh man, like the sack game when he came off the screen and hit the three, oh man, that's a P shot. That's something that only P's gonna shoot, and he hits it, man. And and it's just dope to be with night in and night out.
Paolo, I love with the ball. Markelle has been a resurgence. Cole, I think, has gotten better on his decision making. Franz should have the ball a decent number of touches. Wendell can shoot it. There's other guys we could talk about here. And then you got to get yours a little bit. And for a younger team, that's usually a disaster. Usually means you can see the things that are overlapping too much and that there's just not. You seem to share it. You seem to get along. Look, you're probably not going to correct me here and say, actually, two dudes don't like each other and we have this. But it feels like a young group that's kind of bought in. I know Fultz has been around for a bit, but how does that work? How did you get this to happen this quickly with this group where it seems like everybody's okay finding how they're going to fit that night?
I think just our relationship off the court is the main thing that's done it. Where we're so close, like we can laugh, joke. We have good conversations, about life, about hoop, about family, things like that. When we're away from the court, when we're outside of that, so like we really enjoy being around each other, and it's dope. We had the opportunity, this offseason to bring other guys in, to let some guys go. And they made the decision to bring us all back, kind of give us a chance to go at this thing healthy. And when we've been healthy this season, I mean, we've been really good. When we have our first unit out there rolling and we come in second unit, you have Joe, J.I., Cole, Mo Wagner, Golga, Dell, whoever it is coming in that second unit, but we're all healthy, and rolling. We have a really good flow. I think a lot of that stems from the chemistry. We know where guys are going to be. We know what shots guys want. We're okay kind of delegating some of that, some of the touch, some of the who's handling in this action and that action, because we really just want to win at the end of the day. We enjoy being around each other. We want to win together, and that kind of, I think, fuels a lot of that. And when you get into the flow, if someone's hot, I mean, we want to get them the rock, whether it's P, Franz, Caleb, Cole's got it going. Dell's been playing well, trying to find him the rock more. Seeing Kel get up on the rim and out in transition and get comfortable in the paint again and in his movements is dope to see. So, really just trying to get back healthy, continue to weather the storm of, having guys in and out and fluctuating lineups and things like that. But, we enjoy being around each other, and when you couple that with young and hungry, and trying to get and establish the belief of winning in this league. I think it's like a perfect storm almost.
Really enjoyed your season and, of course, your story and turning things around. And I can't wait to see where the Defensive Player of the Year voting works out here, man, because when I watch you, I feel like every team could use a Jalen Suggs. So it's a credit to you and the work ethic and the 3-point shooting, man. It's all happening. So thanks for the time today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.